The morning it happened. It was just after 6 in the morning in Seattle. The kind of morning where the air is still damp from night rain, and the house feels like it's still holding its breath from yesterday. I was in my nightdress, thin cotton, light, almost careless against my skin. I was holding a cloth in one hand, and my other hand was wrapped around a mug of tea so hot the steam curled like ghostly fingers toward my face. I wasn't thinking about him. Not yet. The mug slipped when I turned too quickly. It hit the hardwood in a way that seemed slow, like the sound reached me before the mess did. Dark liquid spread across the pale boards, threading into the narrow seams between planks, staining not just the floor but the morning itself. I cursed under my breath, dropped to my knees without a second thought, and pressed the cloth into the puddle. The wood's coldness shocked me awake more than the tea had. The thin hem of my dress clung to my thighs, damp and translucent in places. And that's when I remembered I wasn't wearing anything underneath. Not by design. At 3 a.m., cramps had pulled me out of shallow, restless sleep. I had tossed my underwear into a heap on the floor, intending to change before coming downstairs. I forgot. And that's when I heard him. The shift in the room. Liam. My husband's younger brother. His footsteps were soft, but there's a way you can feel when someone is in the room. The air shifts, the temperature bends, the silence gains weight. I froze. The cloth stayed pressed to the floor, my body bent forward, thighs tightening instinctively. I didn't cover myself. I didn't turn. I didn't breathe. He took one step closer. The air grew warmer, heavier, almost humid with the nearness of his breath. Then he was behind me. Not touching, but so close that the small hairs at the back of my neck rose in a wave. Then he was behind me. Not the casual closeness of family passing through a room, this was deliberate, measured, the kind of distance that wasn't really distance at all. I could feel the warmth radiating off him, like a small, contained fire I wasn't supposed to get near, and yet here I was, leaning toward it without moving an inch. A single breath escaped him, brushing over the nape of my neck. It wasn't a sigh, wasn't an accident, it was steady, controlled, almost as if he was checking to see if I would flinch. I didn't. His hand came into my periphery, slow, unhurried, and settled lightly on my shoulder. Just fingertips at first, almost testing the shape of me through the fabric. Then his touch slid down my arm in a way that didn't feel like help. It felt like recognition. He wasn't looking at the spilled tea. He wasn't looking at the cloth I was holding. When I turned my head just enough to glance over my shoulder, his eyes were locked. Not on my face, not even on the bare stretch of thigh peeking from beneath the hem of my dress, but somewhere in between. The slope of my back. The small dip beneath my shoulder blade. The way my spine arched forward over the floor. That stare, it stripped me without a single button undone. The decision not to move. Every sensible part of me screamed to stand up. To break the moment before it formed. To snap at him or laugh or create enough noise to shatter whatever this was. But none of me moved. Not my knees pressed into the cold wood. Not my fingers curled into the damp cloth. Not my breath, which I realized I'd been holding far too long. He bent down, not fully at first, just enough that his chest brushed lightly against my back. His knees touched the floor behind me. The sound was small but final, like the click of a lock. His hands found my arms again, this time not gliding but resting, warm and light, like he was asking a question without speaking. "You okay?" he asked softly, his voice so close to my ear it felt like it slid into me instead of through the air. I nodded. My voice stayed trapped somewhere deep in my throat. That was all the permission he needed. The kiss that wasn't meant to happen. His hand shifted lower, settling at my waist, no pressure, no rush, just presence. The cloth fell from my grip, landing silently on the damp wood. My hands trembled, not from fear but from a kind of clarity I hadn't felt in years. Then his lips touched the side of my neck. Soft. Unrushed. Almost reverent. Like he wasn't just kissing me, he was memorizing me. the exact heat of my skin. The curve where neck met shoulder. The way my breath hitched the second he closed that distance. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a drunken impulse or a misunderstood gesture. This was need. Raw, human, overdue. I exhaled a sound I didn't recognize, a soft, shaky thing that betrayed more than I wanted it to. My head tilted, almost on instinct, bearing more of my neck. He understood. His mouth traveled lower, grazing the strap of my nightdress where it had already slipped off one shoulder. The fabric gave way further, revealing the upper curve of my chest. He didn't stare. He didn't grab. He just breathed me in, like I was something rare, something he hadn't realized he'd been starving for until that second.